Hello, dear students. Let us continue with the chapter The Living Organisms, Characteristics and Habitat. So, dear students, we understood the concept of adaptation and habitat. It is a time to talk about some of the habitats in more detail. So, let us start with the desert. So, when you think of a desert, some of the key features of desert are days are very hot, night are very cold. So these adverse climatic conditions during the day and night make it difficult for the most of the organisms to live in the desert. Less rainfall, and sometimes there is no rainfall for a long period of time. Dry sandy soil which do not support growth of the most plants because of the most plants need wet soil, and sandy soil is very dry and it does not hold a lot of water. Therefore the plants do not get a lot of water. Therefore these dry sandy soil, they do not support growth of plant. They support only very limited plants are seen in desert. Now let us look at some of the plants in desert which are seen in desert. Now as I said, it's difficult for many plants to adapt these extreme conditions of desert. However, deserts have some limited members of plant some limited numbers of plants. Now there are certain plants like cactus which are seen in desert but also adjusted in special ways because of which we are able to survive in desert. For example, there is a desert plant with minimum water loss through transpiration. So before that, what do you mean by transpiration? In any normal transpiration is a loss of in any normal plant, transpiration is a loss of water through the tiny pores. For the leaves which are called stomata, so loss of water through stomata on leaves. So that is called as transformation. By transportation happens in plants. So the plants can throughout access the water into the atmosphere. But in these desert plant, they anyway do not get water. So they do not want to use any water. What do? These plants, if you look at them, they do not have leaves at all. The leaves itself are modified by the structure called the spines. Since there are no leaves, there are no stomata, and therefore the transpiration is minimum. So water loss is very less in some of the plants. The desert plants, even if you see the leaves of the size in the desert, even if you see the plant, the size of the leaf will be very small. The number of stomata and it will also be very less. Therefore, water would also be very less. Secondly, the water storage. Water storage in plants, in these plants are certain parts of plants which stores the water. So in certain plants, the stem are covered with the thick waxy layer which helps to retain water. Some plants store water in their leaves or root. Some different parts help to store water as well, which are not true one of the normal plants, because the normal plants anyways have excess of water in them, where it's opposite in desert plant. They need less amount of water than the other plants. When you look at the desert plant, it helps to protect the plants as the animals eat the plant, and the desert plant does not have the leaves to eat. They have spines which helps them to protect from the animals eating. Animals get scared to eat the plant because of the spines. So these spines helps to protect the plants and also reduce the water loss. So did you understand what are plants in desert adaptations in detail? Very good. They have even the long roots where they store water. Like the desert plant does not have more amount of water, so they have a long root which touches the ground under where the water is stored. So from there it carries the water and store it in the leaves of the cactus. That is, if they have a small leaf, they store the water over there. So they have a very long roots. So now we are going to learn about the desert animals in desert. They are also limited. We find limited animals in desert because these animals also need to be able to survive without food and water for quite some time. So the animals hibernate during extreme temperature. So what do you mean by hibernate? Hibernate is a term given for a long sleep during the unfavorable condition. Though the animals goes for a long sleep, so when the organisms sleep for a long time and need for the energy for its body and also less. That is, though they need energy for its body, but they need very less when they take a long sleep. Animals survive when temperature extremes are when temperature is extreme. Just to survive, they go for a long sleep as they do not have enough of food or water, so they tend for a long sleep for getting the energy. For example, when you go to school, you be in school from morning till evening, right? Yes, after that you do your homework, you play, at night you sleep early. Why is that so? That is because you get tired, right? You do the different types of activities and you get tired. So that is why you need a sleep so that you can get fresh in the morning, right? You get the rest period at the night. So now if you are not going to school, if you're sitting at home doing nothing, you see TV or you just roam from one place to another place, but you have nothing to do, how do you feel? You feel nothing. No, you do not feel any tiredness in your body, or you do not feel anything. So there is some energy in your body, but it is you need less amount of energy or less amount of water or food when you are sitting at home. But when you are doing many activities, like you go to school, you go to study, you go to play, for this you need to eat more, you need to drink more, that is, you need to drink lots of water for our energy. So this is how the animals sleep. Once they take a long sleep, they get energy because they have no food and no water. That is, they have less amount of food and water. For surviving, they take a long sleep. So when they take a long sleep for several months, they need the energy for their body also gets reduced. That is, when they sleep for the several months, the energy of their body gets reduced, but the energy used gets reduced for several months. They need less amount of water, less amount of food, because they are sleeping all the time. They are not doing any work, they are not doing any activities. So hibernate is one good option for the desert for animals to overcome the unfavorable conditions. Some burrow under the soil. Now, During the extreme heights of temperature of the day, some small animals burrow under the soil and they stay under the soil to get protected from themselves from heat. For example, the snakes, they go deep under the water, under the soil, and sleep. The next one is some sleep during the day and remains inactive. So some of the animals, desert animals, sleep during the day and remain inactive. That is also another option during the daytime. The temperature is high so that it's easy to escape from heat. So they take sleep during the daytime and remain inactive. And remain active in during the night. They sleep in the daytime and remain inactive in the daytime due to the heat, so that they can rest themselves for their body, so that they do not get any kind of thirsty or any kind of hunger in their body. So they remain active during the night. If they sleep in the daytime, they remain active in the night. They sleep any one time, that is day or night. So the animals who remain inactive and sleeps at day are called as nocturnal animals. What is nocturnal animals? The animals who sleeps in day and remains active at night. Those are known as nocturnal animals. Nocturnal, nocturnal animal. So what is the example for nocturnal animals? That is owl. Yes, owl sleeps at the daytime and it be awakes the whole night. So owl is the best example for nocturnal animal. So I hope you all have understood the habitat of desert, that is the terrestrial habitat of desert. Now let us continue this session in the next class. Thank you class, enjoy learning.